we were seeing the ultimate type of purification is the complete surrender to Guru, a teacher. It is very easy to develop devotion, bhakti for an Ishta Devata, a Shiva, Rama, Krishna, Mother, whoever it may be. Some people even worship concepts: love, compassion, humility, devotion. But to develop bhakti for a teacher, to develop love, absolute devotion at the feet of the teacher is very difficult, because the form of the teacher moves, talks, lives in the same world. Teacher is exposed to the same universe, elements of this universe. But the Shastra definition of a teacher is Shrotriya Brahmanistha, the one who has studied scriptures and who has gained abidance in that truth. But even upon the attainment and abidance in this absolute, teacher having realized, the teacher is subjected to the same onslaught of the tendencies that prarabdha has brought about. And it is those tendencies and prarabdha created situation of the teacher that when a student learns to look at that with a critical eye, he falls out of devotion to that teacher. The whole situation that unfolds in front of a master born out of prarabdha is not for the prarabdha of the master. The master has gone above and beyond, but the prarabdha created idiosyncrasies of the master is for the students, the disciples, to get over their own individual hang-ups. Certain habits may be foul. Certain decisions may not be sound. And all these are only for the teaching of the rest of the world, because the teacher is not defined by a habit. The teacher is not defined by a decision. He's already ascertained the elusive nature of the universe. In spite of that understanding and abidance in the vision of the truth, the teacher is willing to make decisions for the sake of the institution, the society, the student, only to learn. And thus, the last purification which is talked about in Manah Shodanam is the implicit acceptance of the other in our life. At least we can start from a teacher having understood that the teacher works in a realm quite different from the one that we live in. When this understanding becomes clear, that understanding itself allows us to shed our idiosyncrasies of our character, our habits, and eventually it alters the course of our desires. And it is this desire which will take me to the higher moktum ichha, the desire to liberate. Thus, the student in Upanishads takes a dry log of wood. Samit Pani Shrotriyam Brahmanishta. In this 1/4 of a mantra of Mundaka Upanishad, 2 definitions are given, the one of the student and the other one of a teacher. Samit Pani is a student. The student's definition is Samit Pani, a dry log of wood carrying in hand. Only when we become dry to this world, we become fuel to burn off our own negative tendencies. The mala of the mind has to be burned off. But the mala of the mind has to be all ushered into one log of wood. And that log of wood is brought in front of a majestic master whose very presence, whose kataksha drishti becomes a spark that will ignite the log. The preparation of the student, the understanding of the student is of much importance. First it is uttered Samit Pani, then it is uttered Shrotriyam Brahmanishtham. The teacher Shrotriya, to even attain a teacher who has learned scriptures, not according to the way that we want him or her to learn the scriptures. What scriptures did Ramana Maharshi Ji study? What scriptures did Sri Ramakrishna Paramhamsa study? Yet they were the abode of all scriptures. If we understand that our teacher should know Sanskritam, that Panini Sutras should be there, all Shat Darshan Vidya should be there, these are all our imaginations. Study, each student will get a different aspect of that teacher. Whatever is required, is necessary for that student, is what the teacher will become. A teacher's job is to be a chameleon, change colors for different students. And the colors he changes according to the vasanas in front of them. And thus, the last purification talked about over here to Yudhishthirji by Narad Muni is immediately you can renounce all impurities of your mind by developing implicit devotion to the feet of a teacher. A live teacher is very much necessary. Questions can be posed to a live teacher. Is Guru necessary? That question you ask a book. The book cannot reply. So doubts, in order for them to be cleared, a live teacher is required. But the live teacher can only do so much, provided the student has accepted all aspects of the teacher. And only then, when the log is ignited in the process of burning of the negativities, of the impurities, of the antakarana of the student, rises within from the ambers left behind an internal guru, an internal majestic personality who does the last job of casting off of the identity. The last job is done by the internal guru. The external guru only is necessary to drive off all types of impurities, and by impurities, the main one, wrong understanding, the vision which is not proper. He simply shifts the gaze, but the seeing has to be done by the student. Only when the lens is clean, the gaze will be clear. So when the internal guru rises, because the outside guru's acceptance and relationship has been complete, the internal one becomes the guide that takes us to the last hump, clearing off the Prakriti bondage. But Prakriti will also look, is the attitude proper? Because the Guru's body, Guru's prarabdha is also part of her. It is part of the Prakriti. And if even that of a teacher is rejected, then what to talk of the world? She's not going to leave that person. The three gunas will be held very tightly. The internal guru is when Prakriti blesses. She lets go of the jiva, which has been transmigrating form, birth after birth after birth. Thus, complete surrender to a teacher who changes the gaze is the last purification which we saw over here. And to arrive at this, in shloka 22, rajas tamascha satvena satvam chopashamena cha etat sarvam guru bhaktya purushaha hyanjasa jayet. All of these purifications can immediately be taken care of when one comes to develop this implicit devotion. And this devotion is willingness to put the teacher's words into practice. Difficult to put somebody else's words into practice. So this is very important. We like the books, we like the contents, we enjoy reading the books. But when from that same book an instruction is mentioned by the teacher, we look at the teacher, we look at the instruction, and something happens, because the instruction at the end of the teacher or at the understanding of the student if it is not perceived properly, then it becomes very difficult. Narad Muni was having this dialogue with Yudhishthir. Yudhishthir had great opportunity to have satsang with Bhagavan Krishna. His brother attains him as Guru, and he misses out on this opportunity to have a divine incarnation as Guru. Why, if we inquire into it? Yudhishthir is a son of Dharmaraj. He's made decisions, some based upon dharma, some based upon some situations, weaknesses of mind. Dharma is always relative. Dharma keeps on changing. True dharma abides in the hands of Yama because it is death, willingness to die. Knowledge allows us to destroy the inner ills, but on the other hand, his brother Arjuna is a son of Indra. Indra presides over some 84 lakh devatas. And Indra can only be Indra because he has accepted Brihaspati. Yes, Indra also commits a lot of mistakes. Indra Bhagavan also is scared sitting in the higher worlds when the Asuras try to vacate his position, or for that matter even a Siddha tries to vacate his position. But for everything he goes to Brihaspati. There is an acceptance of Brihaspati. Thus, Arjuna accepts his Brihaspati Krishna. This allows the teaching to be proper when we understand where there is acceptance of the higher thought, where there is willingness to submit. Whenever we run into problems in life, whenever we run into joys in life, if we can cultivate a habit of remembering God in joys, in sorrows, and bowing down at the feet of Bhagavan in our joys and sorrows, it creates an astikya buddhi. That's why Vedanta is also known as astikya darshan. The definition of Brahman is Sat. Sat is asti, it is. So the mind first has to just accept. And for us, acceptance is very difficult. There has to be certain conditions that it puts. So thus, over here, when all types of mental hang-ups are laid to rest and there is implicit, innocent acceptance of the other, there is pure availability of the antakarana which enters the state of placidity which can be molded to the higher. That last molding of the antakarana will be done by the internal guru. But the outside guru has to make that soft antakarana filled with both knowledge and devotion. This is how this purification will come about. Shloka number 23. Upadeshamimam nityam vimrushami punah punah shamanam cha prapashyami malanam tu shanai shanaihi. Imam upadesham nityam vimrushami punah punah. This upadesh, this dialogue between Yudhishthir and Narad Muni about the purification of mind, I remember it time and again. And before that, also Guruji had talked about shloka number 18 onwards, this started. But before that, so many different purification methodology, so many practical tips were given about purification. All this I must bring to my mind time and again. Vimrushami punah punah. Reflect upon it. You see, the reflection is only to bridge the gap between what I know and what I am. What I know is very different from who I am. And who I am is this equipment. And if this equipment is not functioning based upon my knowledge, then there is some distance, there is some gap, and that gap needs to be removed. How come I know so much but it is not in my conduct? That is called Vimrushami. This word is just reflecting. But how do we reflect? What is the art of reflection? Gurudev talks about this in The Art of Contemplation. He has written a book. And the art of reflection is to measure ourselves. That who I am, and what I know, is there a discrepancy in it? And that has to be filled. And that is what is talked about over here. That again and again I reflect upon it only to bring all this to my practice. To bring all this to my conduct, my behavior, my habits, my outlook, my vision. All this should reflect what I know. And for that, this reflection is very important. Time and again we have to revisit all these things to figure out where I am, where I have to go, what I know, and who I am at this point in time. Shamanam cha prapashyami malanam tu shanai shanaihi. Shanai shanaihi tu malanam shamanam prapashyami. This Malanam, of the mala, of the impurities, shanaihi, slowly, shamanam prapashyami, I see the disappearance of it, I see the reduction of it, I see the mala slowly ebbing away, and a nice clear surface appearing, and that is called reflection. I have to remove all this by reflecting. How do I remain in the reflective mode? How do I remain in the learning mode? How do I remain a good student? That student who is carrying a dry log of wood. Over here, another shloka towards the end very beautifully summarizes. Ishvara nugraha devam prasadena gurostatha kim na sadhyam maya loke nischinto hamato dhuna. See, without the grace of Bhagavan, nothing happens. And this grace of Bhagavan, there is no way to attain it except ask him for it, him, her. And we have to yearn for it. It is this Ishwar Anugrahat, the blessings of Bhagavan, which brings Guru in our life, which clears up the mess so that we can even practice the teachings, engage in spiritual practices. This Ishwar Anugrahat is so important. I was talking to someone, they made plans to go to this Kailash Mansarovar Yatra. And we may have our wealth and health and power and position and so many things, but ultimately, he is the one who decides whether this person is allowed over here or not. Actually, in all places, this is just one example. Our attitude towards the world, our attitude towards Bhagavan allows us to earn His grace. Guruji says His grace is everywhere. We have not learned to tap into it. Bhagavan Krishna also says that I don't bless someone, neither do I curse someone. I am equally available to all. So if he is equally available to all, that means we have to learn to tap into him and make him available for us. And it is done at a thought level. We have to invoke his presence in all that we do. This is the only way we can invoke Ishwar Anugraha. His Anugraha, His grace will only come when we yearn for it. We yearn for solely do not yearn for Him. When we yearn for Him, His grace becomes clear. And we have to yearn for Him without this mind. It's difficult to do, but that's the only way to do it. Because if the mind yearns for it, the mind yearns for Him, and then it will have a list. That list should not be there. So that very simple mind just dives. This boy wants to sit in the father's lap. Mother says, why do you want to sit in his lap? Why can't you yearn for sitting in the lap of the Lord of the universe? And he said, yeah, that's right. Didn't complain, why did you give me such a mother? Why did you put me in such situation? No, that Dhruva went was. So we see the child devotees, Prahlad ji, Dhruv ji, Nachiketa, Satyakama, Gautam, some of these child devotees in Shastra, they excel in leaps and bounds because there is already innocence. The colors have not yet dawned. And when such is the mental state, when somebody yearns, it is easily available. Not very many people come for Abhishekam, Puja and all those things. Yesterday so many were there. Shravan Somvar. 4 Mondays I will go. If Bhagavan is accepted for 4 Mondays, are 54 Mondays, that's pretty sad. Then what kind of anugraha we are seeking from Him? So that clarity should be there, that when I go to Ishwar, how am I approaching Ishwar? It should be a child-like approach. Narasimha Bhagavan came, nobody could quieten his anger. Even Lakshmi ji couldn't. We say Lakshmi Narasimha, Lakshmi ji could only approach Narasimha Bhagavan because that little Prahlad ji was able to calm the fury of Bhagavan, who was quite disturbed when his own devotee was tormented. So this is how Bhagavan is. He also mentions Name Bhakta Pranashyati. And a billion, trillion people say we are His devotees. But how do we define a devotee? When His grace we see in everything, then we can say that, Bhagavan, I am your devotee. And by saying that I am your devotee, even there is an ahankar which asserts that I am your devotee. So even that slight ahankar which remains, even that has to be removed slowly. So His anugraha keeps on increasing when we clean ourselves. But if obstacles and such things arrive, we start doubting because He's testing us. His test is a presence of all types of things. Even once we doubt Him, the Krupa Patra becomes destroyed. a tiny little crack develops and it starts leaking then. His anugraha, his krupa starts leaking. And it's only matter of time the crack widens then. So, over here, Ishvara anugrahad evam prasadena cha guru tatha. And Guru Krupa will start working when Ishwar Krupa is there. Ishwar Krupa and Guru Krupa, both of them go together. They are on parallel tracks. When Bhagavan opens up, Guru arrives. And when Guru arrives, Guru does the remaining job. But even if the Guru is there, if we have not grown, then even the Guru Krupa cannot do much. So, kim na sadhyam maya loke nischinto aham ataha adhuna. Adhuna, now, aham, me, ataha nischintaha, I am worry free. I have no worries. And what is the attitude? Kimna maya sadhyam imam loke. What is it that I cannot do in this world? Meaning, I am ready to do anything and everything. That becomes the attitude. Guruji always says that you come to me with Guruji, 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 Guruji. But when Guru tells you that you go from this ashram to that ashram, the brahmachari or the Swami says, no, I am quite comfortable over here. Then, what kind of surrender is there to the teacher? So, what is it that I cannot do? Meaning, I'll do anything that Ishwar and Guru wants me to do. Anything. It has come from the Shastra, represented by teacher, and Bhagavan's Krupa brings all sorts of experiences and people and everything. I will just do it silently. This is my offering to the yajna of life and universe. This understanding itself is purification. This is the highest purification. Continuing, last shloka. Prapsyami shigram manaso hi shuddhim. Prapsyami shigram manaso hi shuddhim. Lina swarupe bhavita cha buddhihi. Lina swarupe bhavita cha buddhihi. Pashyan nijananda swarupa lokam. Pashyan nijananda swarupa lokam. Sukham charishyami sada vimuktaha. Sukham charishyami sada vimuktaha. Sukham charishyami sada vimuktaha. Sada vimuktaha. Sukham aham charishyami. I will move about in this world always vimuktaha, completely free. How? By proper attitude. See, I have not yet attained it, but the attitude. And what is the attitude? Shigram aham manasaha shuddhim prapsyami. I will attain quickly mind's purification. That is the positive attitude, rather than on dwelling that, oh, I don't have it, I don't have it, I don't have it. I focus on, I will attain this purity of mind. Yes, I know there are negativities. Yes, I know some work needs to be done, but with His grace, Guru's blessings, I will attain it. I will attain it. And Leena Swarupe Bhavita Cha Buddhihi. Bhavita Buddhihi Swarupe Leena. And then this Buddhi, Swarupa, this nature, Leena, I will rest the Buddhi in it, I will dissolve the Buddhi in it. Over here, Buddhi, Leena, dissolve. I will dissolve the Buddhi in there. So, taking mind to lofty ideas, continuously taking the mind over there, Buddhi over there, and having a positive attitude, being an optimistic person that Prapsyami, see, he has not yet attained, but I will attain. That is what is said over here, that I shall gain in due time, Shigram, soon. And sometimes that soon may be this life or even next life. Whatever Ishwar has planned for us, we must be willing to accept it. We can say, yes, I want Jivan Mukti Bhagavan. That I don't want anything else. But then we don't know what we have brought. So we can say, I want Jivan Mukti, and I'm willing to work for it. But then it is in your hand. You do whatever you want. I have mentioned what I want. So, with that, Pashyan Nijananda Swarupa Lokam. I am Nija Ananda Swarupam Imam Lokam Pashyan. I'm seeing, I'm learning to see your glory, your divinity everywhere, and I want to rest in that divinity. I want to dissolve myself in it, but allow me to get over these hurdles of wrong choices. May I not make wrong choices. May I come out of the limitations of mind. And yes, I want this complete Jivan Mukti. But we don't know what is in store for this prarabdha. Ishwar Krupa can remove that. Guru Krupa can easily wipe that out. We've seen in Totkacharya and so many great Mahatmas' life, their implicit devotion to Guru itself wiped their life clean. And this is Manah Shodanam. 25 shlokas, original composition of Guruji, and he composed somewhere in, I think, early 90s or so. So this is born out of reflection. You know, when we study scriptures and when we try to put these scriptures into practice, the true test is how the thought flow comes about. And we can see in this Manah Shodanam is the first textbook. After this is Gnyan Sar, the essence of knowledge. Because only when mind is pure, knowledge can work. After that is Bhakti Sudha. Then to stay in that knowledge requires devotion. And after that, the last one is, fourth one is Dhyana Swarupam, the nature of meditation. True meditation can only happen when the mind is clear and the intellect has knowledge. And thus, even in Bhagavad Gita, it is 6th chapter. Karma Yoga clears and creates a fertile ground, and Jnana Karma, the 4th chapter, gives based upon knowledge karma sannyas, and then the 5th chapter is completely removal of karma sannyas. Attachment at the level of the mind is given up. The action goes on, but the ownership of the action is removed. That is called karma sannyas. Not that that person will not do anything, but over here, so that mind is absolutely free. So only when 3, 4, 5 have worked, the Sthita Prajna Lakshan can be meditated upon and invited. Then the 6th chapter dives into meditation. So even these 4 books go that way. A purity of mind, acquisition of proper knowledge, and devotion to stay in it, and after that the abidance in meditation, dhyan. So I have to travel, so we won't be having, I won't be able to start Gnyan Sar. We'll see, we'll do like a weekend camp or something like that. Perhaps Memorial Day, Labor Day, if I'm here, we'll do for one of the days to just take that book and finish the whole book in one sitting. We can do that, and then we will continue our fall classes, continue with Bhagavad Gita. We have to continue chapter 2. We have to continue Mundaka. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramayaha, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschit dukkha bhag bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. We can meet tomorrow if we want to.